Yo, 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 it's your boy Chip with Broke Millionaires. We back with another one. Yeah, so look, we trying to get educated today, so we gonna do history on grime music so I can learn a little bit about the culture and whatnot. It's a nice little mini documentary, so we gonna get straight to it, man. We gonna, learn something. You gonna learn me something today, so let's go, baby.
Music of the streets, music from the gutter, music for the fiery. When were you introduced? Was it when you went to your first Eskimo dance? Was it when you ended up on Channel U amongst all the rubbish on TV? Was it when you came across your favourite artist appear on SBTV or Grime Daily?
Listen, yeah. They want 64 bars, I want 64 whips and yards, and I don't...
Or was it when the likes of Kanye West and Drake were associating with all the top UK MCs? It's likely at this point that you became aware that there was in fact an entire scene behind the gun fingers, hoodies and screw faces of the UK streets, and that it was known as grime music. Grime as a genre has largely stayed under the radar since its birth. However, a lot of people have overlooked exactly how much of an influence it's had on British youth culture over the last 15 years. How it's finally given a voice to the people who had been censored for years. How it's helped develop confidence, self-expression, and a sense of belonging in the masses of youths born into working class families. And how it has, on many occasions, universally united the most ethnically diverse generation of people in the UK's history. Grime as a music genre did not accomplish this on its own, but that is because grime is bigger than music. Grime is a culture. The origins of grime are still recognised. Matured grime fans will be able to name early urban bangers from the likes of So Solid Crew, Craig David, Heartless Crew, and Mike Skinner, all recognised for their work in the UK garage scene, and laying the foundation for what would become the early grime sound. Although sounds like garage, jungle, two-step, and drum and bass were under the urban music umbrella, these genres mostly went so far as to represent mainstream culture from an urban perspective. Sex, drugs, breakups, parties. There was something missing. There was something so unique hidden behind the cliché. A stigma. There is one person famed for bridging this gap. That person was none other than Wiley.
So I take it this is the dude that was beefing with Stormzy, the Wiley dude. Because I remember y'all was saying check out the Wiley and Stormzy beef, which I haven't forgot. It's on the list, but I'm assuming. So he's basically a forefather of grime music, and that's who Stormzy was beefing with. Noted. Right before Stormzy and Stormzy and Chip got into it. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah.
Wiley began his journey in music, spitting over jungle instrumentals on pirate radio stations such as Rinse FM in around 1997, and formed connections with some of the hottest UK garage MCs in the game. He would go on to become part of the Pay As You Go cartel, one of the first urban supercrews in the UK. In the same year, Lethal Bizzle and the More Fire crew secured a number 7 in the UK singles chart with their breakthrough hit, Oi, which also had a distinct garage sound, but with a gritty and rowdy vocal backing.
Or a bit of vocal and chop it up, so yeah, it had legs, but we didn't fit it. And the MCs in there, they were more hosts, like masters of ceremony. They wasn't really like spraying bars or such.
The polished sounds of these genres did not appear to synergize well with the aggression, spontaneity, and volatility of the MCs trying to host them.
Trinidad bloodline. St. Paul soldier, no from the next door neighbor, Eskimo raver, Elstone visitor, Meridian resident, senior Manning with president.
It was around this time that the infamous Roll Deep entourage would take.
So I can truly say that when I first started listening to UK music, and I was like, this shit trash, which to me is trash. I'm not saying this, but what I said was trash. It was trash, but I didn't have an understanding of what genre of music it was. So now I do. So then you can kind of give it you can give it more respect than you was giving it. But it can still be trash though. You see what I'm saying? But now I understand, like, okay, that's why his rhyme pattern is like that, or that's why he's not in this type of pocket that you expect and look for, or that's why it's not. You think that he not rhyme, but that's just part of the genre and the type of music. So that's where, when I very first started doing my music reviews, if I was listening to some grime music, it never made sense. Now I'm like, oh, I get why they was rapping like that, but still I didn't like it. So to me, in my opinion, it was, you know what I'm saying? But I get it now though.
Its early shape, incorporating the likes of future stars like Dizzy Rascal and Tinchy Stryder. From here, everything changed.
Alright then, so what do you call it?
Everybody knows the Eskimo rhythm. This was the dawn of a new sound, dubbed Eski Beat and founded by Wiley, Eski Boy. It was so contagious, he was able to create a new wave the UK rave scene had never seen before, the Eskimo dance. Dirty, dangerous, and disorganized.
Is that Pete Money? Right there rapping?
It was the pinnacle physical embodiment of the word grime in music. It was already grime.
That's Gets, ain't it? Oh, that's crazy. That's what's up, though. Dude was young as hell.
It's just, nobody said it yet.
And you actually came up with the term grime.
I didn't. I think someone at the radio did, I'm sure. Because I used to say the word grime, but I remember calling my music like Eski Beat.
This boom in a new culture almost immediately infected the airwaves, one way or another, albeit on a small scale.
Damn.
Got to Eskimo stage, pressed up that started selling nice and lovely, selling, until it sold about 5,000, and I felt different in myself. I thought, raw.
Record shops started stocking their shelves with white label vinyls. Pirate radio stations, spearheaded by Rinse FM, began hosting more and more frequently. It wasn't long until the BBC caught wind of urban culture and launched Radio 1 Extra as a dedicated radio station and as a sister to their ever-popular Radio 1 platform.
Show no less than half a grand. Pro with a vest, the armor guards, part Charizard, and my heart's got a darker tan.
All of this came to fruition in the same year of 2002. The next year, Dizzy Rascal would release his debut album, Boy in the Corner, which is unanimously recognized as the original grime album. In this year, we would also see the birth of Channel U, which was possibly the turning point for the success of unsigned artists all across the country. This new platform had no credential requirements and could be one of the earliest examples of artist promotion through audiovisual media. Their daily program, Streets, Grime and Life, is a cult classic and is remembered by grime fans all over the country as the place they heard all the hottest new bars. The next couple of years were no different, and it seemed as if grime music's popularity had been exponentially increasing the whole time. 2004 saw Wiley drop his debut album, Treading on Thin Ice, which included What Do You Call It? An almost middle finger to the music industry's lack of acceptance.
Bro, I know this nigga didn't have Brian Pumper on his damn vinyl cover. Hold on. That shit funny if he did. I'm dead.
The next couple of years were no different, and it seemed as if grime music's popularity had been exponentially increasing the whole time. 2004 saw Wiley drop his debut album, Treading on Thin Ice, which included What Do You Call It? An almost middle finger to the music industry's.
Bro, I thought that was Brian Pumper, the porn star on this shit, man. I thought it'd be like, these niggas have gone too far. But nah, that's crazy.
Lack of acceptance.
He looked just like him.
You got none of that urban.
Lethal Bizzle did it again with Pow, securing another top 20 single at number 11, despite being banned from airplay for lyrics about gun culture.
That shit be crazy about y'all freedom of speech out there, man. Y'all gotta be real particular, man, or you gotta hide your face. It's real difficult on how y'all just can't speak about certain things. And a side note, man, they overturned Roe vs. Wade over here. That shit's extremely crazy. Basically, in the US of A, man, you can't get abortions no more, man. Boy, that shit crazy. But anyway, I ain't about to turn this into that, so let's go. Let's get back to it.
Pow! If you don't know about me, pow! Better ask someone quickly, cause pow! Yeah, I'm pow!
Jammer had just completed Lord of the Mics Volume 1, a compilation of your favorite MCs clashing face to face, bar for bar.
Look at Kano.
Yo, Bill.
Look at young Kano, bro. Bro, look young as hell. I wonder how old he was in this joint. Hold on, my bad, y'all.
When I spit to kill. Spit fuckers at alarms, you know the drill. Entire crew armed, you know the drill. Bring game.
This is when the scene had gained its own identity.
I hate this nigga right now, though. Only on TV. I like him in person, but this nigga really got me messed up over that final season finale of Top Boy, bro. I really I owe this nigga a squabble. Real talk. That shit crazy. Sully. So.
Independent of other genres and independent of people from other walks of life. This is when large groups of kids began to stick together to succeed. This is what helped urban speech and slang become more familiar to and more common in the public domain.
Alright, boom. The streets of England. That's what I'm trying to say to you, yeah? No one t-shirt business. It's called Narast.
Let me pause it. Portsmouth, Plymouth, Cardiff, Bingham. That's Birmingham, my bad. Liverpool, okay. Aberdeen. It ain't really got the cities. It just show you certain shit. That shit really small as hell. That's crazy. I didn't know it was that small, bro.
It's down there. See all down there? Blitzkrieg.
This is when Wiley's scene became its own scene.
Brethren, safe. Brethren, you get me. Brethren, cuz. Brethren, brother. Brethren, we speaking slang like this. You get me.
Was that Bitty Buck? Was that him? It looked like him. That's crazy how all these niggas I'm doing reviews on. You know, man, it's just, I don't know.
Esky Beat was the character. Grime was the personality.
Bitty Buck.
By the time Roll Deep released their debut album, In at the Deep End, in 2005, a fresh underground music scene had been established in the UK, steadily establishing a grip on the airwaves. This was around the time that artists really began to see the potential in the scene, and themselves.
You be the best MC in the room. Trust me, today's not one of them days. Don't give a fuck what none of them say. When I come around them, none of them say.
In the following years, brothers JME and Skepta would form the collective Boy Better Know. Getz, Scorcher, Retry 2 and Devlin, amongst others, would become the movement.
Look at Reg, bro. That man was young as hell. Hold on.
That artists really began to see the potential.
Look at Chip, bro. He look like my brother-in-law, bro. Damn. Bro, if I could show you a picture of my brother-in-law, y'all be like, them folks twins.
Potential in the scene, and themselves.
You be the best MC in the room. Trust me, today's not one of them days.
Bro, did I fast forward?
In the following years, brothers JME and Skepta would form the collective Boy Better Know. Getz, Scorcher, Retry 2 and Devlin.
Bro, look at this. Look how young this man was. And he had a full beard. I wonder how old bro was in this video. Because the man always kind of done being like looking old and shit, apparently. Because the man look old as hell and his fire in the boots for sure. This funny though. This shit crazy. I feel like I know these folks, bro. It's crazy.
Amongst others, would become the movement.
There's no introduction needed.
Bro, look at yes, bro. Bro, look at this man. Hold on.
I'm a genius, and I'm even schooling singers. Next year.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I would have heard this bare bones, like how he rapping right now a cappella, without hearing none of his stuff now, I would have been like, I would have been on his ass. I would have been like, bro, this shit ass nigga. Where my CD at? This shit gets no play in my ride. I would have been like, it's trash. I swear, I done reacted to dude on the far right too, I think. He looked real familiar. Look at cuz in the back. That's crazy.
DWE and Footsie would go under the name Newham Generals and started to make waves.
Show, say, shower. I've got the top gear, I've got the power.
There's Biddy Buck right there.
Let's slow down.
That's crazy.
MCs didn't simply say to each other, let's make a crew and get big. Many of these MCs had already interacted with each other and made a name for themselves long before they formed the crews who they would go on to achieve critical acclaim with. DWE was an original member of the Nasty Crew, which also included Jammer, now a member of Boy Better Know. In fact, a lot of artists emerged from the Nasty Crew, which disbanded likely due to the number of artists inducted to the group.
Nasty crew got stars upon stars. Come against me, get scars upon scars. I'm harder than tar, faster than cars.
Some fans will say that the emergence of big-name grime crews in the 2006 to 2010 era was spearheaded by ex-Nasty members.
What does he got on his fucking head? Look at this nigga, looking like Fabo over there. Bro, them sunglasses ugly as hell. But I'm pretty sure it was that tall T era right here, bro. It had to be. Look what's on this man's shirt, man. It's just so ugly.
And many fans will recognize pretty much all of these names as the golden generation of grime, if not idolizing them entirely.
And Dizzy was on his own with Beck, but Dizzy was around us, man, still, and was affiliated and cool and friendly with all of us, like, so he made our first dub plate, Ready for War. You know what I mean? And that was the first Nasty Crew dub plate.
Make no mistake, a lot of these MCs had already been rhyming and laying foundations from the days of grime's conception, which is likely why they were able to capitalize on the niche and become household names. Most importantly, the pressure on their identities and personalities had been reduced massively. Early interview and documentary footage of these artists shows a lot of planning and dedication to the overall success, albeit to a small degree, but that was enough.
Back at jail, next stop, world domination.
Some of them had recently left the life of crime and or oppression, and to realize there's opportunity to stay out of trouble without compromising your street pride was nothing short of ideal.
They end up in the can for coke. I hope you're 7 up.
I was someone that was just a persistent offender. In, out, in, out, in, out. There was nothing that could hold my attention.
That's crazy.
That happened. And then I got a change from doing the tour, so it kept me on my feet. And I said, you know what? God sent a blessing here.
However,
that's all right, Getz. That's crazy. Hold on, y'all. My battery pack about to die. That's crazy. Damn. My boy Getz, boy, that's crazy.
However, at this point, what the wider public knew of this emerging culture was restricted to only what was broadcasted on TV or radio, or at least what was allowed to be broadcasted. Even with internet platforms such as MySpace and Facebook on the horizon, it was common for artists to spread only within their immediate locale, generating hype for themselves on a relatively small scale through word of mouth. Some artists, like Chipmunk, were able to break through to the wider audience, likely due to their youthfulness, relatability, and relatively friendly lyrics.
Rudolph Faber, chicken eater, T-high streeter, Glazemo jumper, Adidas sneaker, Parada wearer, Liverpool MC terror.
Though, still with the help of radio and co-signed by the Godfather himself.
He's gonna step up out of North London.
Yeah, Chipmunk's out of North London. He's gonna do his thing.
Grind.
He's gonna spray out the rhythm, let everyone know what time it is. Like 16 years old, run it. Take it back.
Although it was
great.
evident
16?
that the sound was contagious and appealed to more people than expected, only the most popular artists could reach the wider urban audience. The rest, well, they just went hard for their ends. Until the advent of smoky bars. Around the years of 2006 to 2007, Jamal Edwards picked up a camera and began shooting amateur street freestyle videos, a format that would later become the ever-popular warm-up session series and evolve into more professionally organized shows like F64, the Fresh 64 Bars series. What was most important is that Jamal had successfully pioneered a way to deliver raw, uncensored content to a scalable audience on the internet. The biggest names in the scene, like Wiley, Dizzy Rascal, and
like
Lethal
Big Meech.
Bizzle, were no longer exclusive to the spotlight. The dawn of the new internet age meant you could create the spotlight for yourself, and you just had to be the hardest. And a lot of MCs were.
Army orangutan gang bang for rap chat. Family man from a banger man. Bad man get battered up and battle with my hand. Body parts buried in the belly of my land. Boy, better not bury anybody in your clan. I'm better than
By the late 2000s, artists began to pull their own weight based off of the heat they created for themselves. Some artists had developed enough of a personal fan base to self-propel themselves into fame. More and more music videos began to surface, albeit shot quite non-professionally, but this did not take anything away from the overall quality of the content. This also meant it was not censored or reviewed by many but the fans who loved it. This was supposed to be great, right? Wrong. Don't be mistaken by the points in Grime's history that brought it so far. The scene emerged from the dirt, and to see the success of the sound by what people had accomplished through it is only one part of the story. It was more than just persistence through oppression that gives it its individualism. In 2018, it's easy to point at Grime fans and scream bandwagon. However, this isn't the first time Grime has been trending. It's only this time Grime music has been trending positively. Many fans would recognize the names Escobars and Crazy Titch, some of the best and most promising artists of their generation, though clouded by the reality of life they were trying to escape. Esco was killed in a street attack in East London nearly 10 years ago, and nobody forgot.
My boy.
That's right, that's an Esco lyric, but right now I'm possessed by Esco spirit. Headshot, we'll have a nigga in a close casket, open it up and fling a red rose in it. Body off the body.
Titch was sentenced to life for murder in 2005. That is still an open case to many of his biggest fans that argue he took the blame to protect a close one. These are not the only names who have been subject to the unfortunate circumstance of the lives they led, but undeniably carried the most weight. Even the biggest names in the history of the genre were not shy to violence and crime either. Both Wiley and Dizzy Rascal, although making it to the top, had attempts on their life and were physically scarred indefinitely. It does not stop there, as many of the artists who still perform today have by no means had it easy. Many of them, in fact, had it very hard.
I want to hear you say, fuck the police! Fuck the police! Say, fuck the police! Fuck the police! I said, say, fuck the police! Fuck the police!
Beyond the relationship between the artists and the streets comes their relationship with the police also. The boom of the scene would almost definitely coincide with the problems the originators of the sound had gone through, and as such would put others who saw it as an avenue under the same umbrella. For over 10 years, promoters had been asked to complete a risk assessment form known as Form 696, which required the promoters to provide details on the events they were hosting. This included the type of music played, the target audience, and more controversially, the ethnicity of the performers to prevent crime at said event from occurring. The intentions and logistics of such legislations are up for debate, as are all police motives. However, there has always been an undeniable element of discrimination that stems from the dynamic that grime culture brings to English culture as a whole. Many shows that grime artists have planned to perform at have been cancelled over the previous decade, and the community felt as if no progress had been made to finally embrace a culture so appealing to a large number of fans, artists and promoters alike.
I've just woke up this morning
This nigga so lame.
to an email saying,
Bro, the man, he cannot rap, but apparently he gangster as hell though. That's crazy.
that the show, London show, in Under the Bridge has been actually cancelled by the police. I know.
This is not to say artists performing urban music are targeted as such. However,
Nigga, was that Gaddafi on there? Why was he on there? He looked like Gaddafi at least, I don't know.
artists who had clearly taken on the profession to focus on something more productive and inspiring have a right to feel oppressed, as the police have halted them, either indirectly or directly, from doing their job and earning their keep, with the intention of it being harmless.
On what we can do to improve the profile of the event, to mitigate that risk that they're assessing that there is. And that's why you get this ignorant attitude like, fuck the police, fuck them, because there's no discourse going on.
These hardships continuously put a dent in the nurturance of so much potential. Despite the scene being embraced by many, it was still adolescent, and the rate at which it was expanding was far greater than the contributors could transition into. Not to mention, for the rest who still had the freedom to pursue greater things within the field, were suppressed by the powers that were.
Oh, shit.
The never-ending defense of the scene and what its contributors stood for forced the hand of many artists. The authenticity of the rawness would eventually begin to fade at the same rate it exploded. The biggest names began to redefine themselves less as grime MCs and more as musicians, and with that came the crossover into other genres.
I spend a little change on you, but you always give it back.
Some did this to represent revelations they had of life. Others to contribute their talent to genres they had love for besides grime.
I'm sick, every line the crowd's like, hey. I didn't get rolled or stacked like, hey. Listen, learn, then repeat. Hey. When they get the metaphor, shout out. Oh.
Though most realistically had no option because their own personal development was restricted as much as grime became less profitable. This is not to say that the sound was dying. It just became more apparent as a hobby than a profession. This is not to say that the option.
It is Chris Brown. Ah, damn, somebody told me to review Chris Brown and Chip earlier today. I screenshotted it, so that shit crazy. How this shit just popped up.
Because their own personal development was restricted as much as grime became less profitable. This is not to say that the sound was dying. It just became more apparent as a hobby than a profession. The UK urban scene, though, continued to thrive, and a lot of grime artists began releasing big tunes. Tunes that resonated much further than grime did, and so forth made more money and built more status. This, though, is when the meaning and the roots of the sound began to evaporate. Almost every urban song released in this new age was coined grime. Even collaborative tunes that featured urban artists were pushed under the same umbrella. This was likely not the intentions of the artists. It's only understandable that the fans recognized the music grime MCs made as grime, even when it was not. But realistically, the name became washed down with what was really UK hip-hop and dubstep. The scene was neutered. This coincided well with the fact that the grime generation grew up.
Have y'all seen Four Brothers? The main antagonist, Victor Sweet. That's what he look like. You know the actor is he an English dude. He an English man. I don't know his name. I did not know I didn't know he was English until I heard him in the interview. But he looked just like, bruh. They could be brothers for real.
Not just the MCs, but the fans as well. The same kids who wore hoodies to school were now wearing suits to interviews. The same kids who were rebellious to their circumstance were now accepting of it. The same kids who were seeking family were raising their own. The same artists who spoke about the realities of the former were now speaking about the latter. A natural evolution not just of culture, but of self.
Boy, I thought that was Pinky.
The scene was always alive and always had unfinished business.
Now, I told y'all he kind of grew on me when I heard Still Disappointed, and he did that shit was funny, boy. I still laugh to myself. This shit was childish. I think it was a Wiley. They said somebody told me it was a Wiley dish, but after I heard all like I did the beef between Chip and him, and I'm like, bruh, he really don't get no respect from me because that nigga didn't even do nothing. He lost and gave up, and he was scared when the beef started because he was mad because Chip said he went subpar on the verse. So you put up to this nigga house? I lose all respect for Stormzy.
There were many who stayed true to the origins from the beginning and continued to develop it. There were also some who continued to use their image in grime for other ventures outside of music. The scene evolved, as did the definition of grime. A lot of contributors had finally made it, and because of that, it's difficult to say whether or not the identity of the scene is still grimy. As a genre, the name belongs. However, as a personality, not so much. Grime music and lyrics was always primarily associated with the struggle, anarchy, and dismay it fought to escape. And that became its paradoxical curse. The MCs who stepped in post-2011 had already seen the potential success where there was none to its founders. The genre is now recognized by what is 140 BPM by identity. There are still sets, there are still clashes, and there are still raves. The dynamic was never lost, but the underlying matter is that every platform, every MC, everyone who contributed has transcended the status of the scene's namesake. The character, Eskebeat, lived on. The personality, Grime, didn't. The hype built around the UK scene has been established, and with that comes the people who have noticed how much has changed. Some are frustrated by the lack of authenticity, and others embrace it. The people who never stopped making grime are loud, and the voices behind them are even louder.
Man said the scene is ours. Scene was under attack, man picked up the white flag and ran for pop music. Fucking cowards.
Grime music's resurgence in around 2015 was high profile and large scale, much larger than ever before. Waves of new fans entered the scene, and recently there was a new struggle to prove who was the grimiest of them all. To prove who exactly was a master of the sound, and who could give the fans the best.
Like before anyone else feels my music, I feel my shit. I'm the fucking hardest, bro. Matter of fact, I'm the best, bro. Yeah? The level of consistency, crazy, bro. He's been firing like that 13 years. Firing.
Ironically, it was through this that it saw its roots resurface once more, and for the last time. We saw long-running clashes stemming from what seemed to be authentic disputes. We saw artists re-emerging on pirate radio to reach out to whatever the scene was left. We saw artists back on the street, with or without their crews, to revisit old visual traditions.
So okay, grime made a resurgence, but they closed it down because it had a negative connotation on society. So what they gonna do with drill music then? Like what?
Many veteran MCs played their part in reigniting the flame and gave us reminders of what we once felt in its heyday. Skepta brought the dynamic, Get brought the energy, Chit brought the controversy, Nasty brought the bass. The authenticity did not and cannot last a second time. It worked, and the scene finally trended magnificently, almost all over the Western world.
I win, don't wanna see me shining, I win. You don't want it on a mic thing, I win.
But the voices of grime will always be silenced by what is the dominant genre amongst the youth. This is by no means negative, as the grime scene eventually succeeded and many profited in terms of recognition, happiness and wealth. Now we're here, a golden age of music that grime helped to inspire. The UK urban scene is now well defined by multiple subgenres, and now competes with the best of other genres of music. The likes of Stormzy, Nines and J Hus are just a selection of artists that have gone on to become household names, not just for the urban industry, but for UK music itself. We now have award shows practically run by the urban community for the urban community. Grime Daily's rated awards show is a hit, and put bluntly, is literally grime awarding artist recognition.
It's for you.
Come on. I need to write this down. yeah.
Come over GRIME. And then the blacks come.
Achieving 1 million views on a major platform now earns an artist a plaque,
Young ass, what's up, man?
akin to one earned by a chart topper. And some of these artists really are chart
Nice, what's up, man?
toppers.
This shit crazy.
What matters
It's crazy that I know these niggas now, right? Cause boy, about a month and a half ago when I first started my channel, y'all would have been like, who is this nigga? You feel me? Now it's like, I know all these niggas.
most is the inspiration derived from this. It's evident that new urban subgenres are going through adolescence in the UK and are experiencing similar, albeit more high-profile troubles than the past urban generation of artists experienced, but are nevertheless thriving. Don't be mistaken, grime has always been a huge banner. In a country with much smaller boundaries and a much more strict society, it's taken much longer for the genre to break free of its cultural shackles, and when it eventually did, it birthed a new age of budding talent that has the potential to spread worldwide.
Angles will still be on top, it's nice. I see you looking fly today. I see you shining, A. Shout out to my hustlers that grind all day. I see you shining, A.
Hey man, listen, that was a good little video. I ain't gonna lie, I was sleepy as hell. I had a long day, but man, it was good, informative. It's just crazy that I know these folks now, you feel me? Because I'm trying to tell you, about a month and a half ago, when I had 0 subscribers, you feel me? And I first hopped on this shit, and y'all was over here, y'all was giving me suggestions after suggestions, and I'm sitting here watching these videos and reacting. I didn't know who nobody was. And now I can truly say that I do. And a lot of them that I like some of their music. That shit was up, man. Hey, I'm making strides in this bitch, bro. You know it. I know it. You know what I'm saying? But look, we about to go ahead and just call this one it, because I'm tired as hell, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I thought I was gonna be able to drop about 15 today, but I'm gonna just hold them out for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But y'all be smooth, man. It's your boy Chip, man. If you ain't done so, man, do me a huge favor, man. If you're a returning viewer, man, hit that red button for me and like it. You know what I'm saying? I need all that. I need love, baby. Show me. Y'all coming back. Y'all fucking with it. Show me that it shows me that y'all fucking with the content. So you come back, man, at least you can do is subscribe, bro. That's all you gotta do. Hit the red button. It ain't gonna hurt shit. But anywho, man, it's your boy Chip, man. Broke Millionaires. Love y'all. Stay smooth, man. It's a nice little documentary, bro. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna catch you on the next one, man. Be good.